Hey, so Etsy just sent out this email protecting shoppers' privacy on Etsy. We're committed to keeping the Etsy marketplace safe and protecting the privacy of all the people who shop and sell on Etsy. That's why we're going to stop sharing buyers' email addresses with certain third party integrations on February 5th. It is January 4th as I shoot this. We're giving you a heads up about this change because it looks like you've used one of those third party services in the past 60 days, Aweber. Some third-party integrations collect buyer email addresses, which can create a confusing and potentially unsafe experience for buyers who receive emails from unfamiliar or unexpected senders. To help protect buyers and sellers, we recommend all communication happen through Etsy messages. This also makes it easier for our support teams to help if there's an issue. Thanks for helping us protect shoppers' privacy and keep Etsy safe. So, why are they doing this? Emails, as a shop owner, are the most valuable asset that you can possibly have. Etsy knows this. And if you ever noticed, when you have an account or when you buy anything on Etsy, you start getting all these emails from Etsy saying a lot of like promoting everything on Etsy. So, from Etsy's point of view, it's not about shopper privacy or safety. That's BS. It's all about money. And because Etsy is struggling right now, they don't want you to be able to take their customers off of Etsy onto your own platform. So there is a shift happening right now because Etsy seems to be struggling big time, where sellers are looking at alternatives to create their own shops, whether it be Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever, because the sellers know that when you have your own shop, you control everything and you own everything. And that email list is super valuable. So, just as an example of Aweber and why I don't care about this particular thing, this shop has just about getting near 2,000 sales in like 6 months, something like that. And I have Aweber connected, and I changed my confirmation message on Aweber to say like not the standard subscribe to the newsletter or whatever it may be. It was saying more dealing with my shop. And if you want updates and notifications about sales, then make sure you opt in because you have to do double opt in with Aweber. And in the past, Etsy was fine with that. I had less than 20% of my buyers actually opt in. So I'm not really losing all that much. I'm losing a few, but the email list that I would love to have is all like almost 2,000 sales and 2,000 buyers. If I had that, if I had started my own shop and had that, I would be so much further ahead than by having a shop on Etsy. So I think with the layoffs that Etsy did of 11% of their workforce, with this move where they're now not allowing any of these third-party integrations, and I think Everbee has one, Aweber has one. There's one other company that had one as well. They're cutting that off. Etsy is trying to bring everything they can in-house. So the old Etsy where you could go on there and make a good living, I think those days are numbered. I think what I found too from my experience on Etsy coming back just over 6 months ago and putting a lot of time and energy and effort into it is that Etsy sellers, I don't want to insult anybody, but their number system is very small. So, for example, you might see a seller, and I'm going to use this. Just let me go to a Google Doc here. You might see a seller on Etsy um, who thinks, so let's go Etsy seller mindset. What is success? So to them, 100,000 revenue a year is amazing. When in reality, after all the fees and after all the base costs, if they're doing print on demand, and shipping costs, it might be 20% profit. So that's 20,000 per year profit before tax. That is not good. That's not enough money to live on. That's not enough money to pay your bills. That's not enough money to do much. It's a side hustle, but it's peanuts. It's peanuts, I'm sorry. And that divided by 12. So call that 16,667. So it is 1,667 per month before tax. Now, there are sellers out there who hit that mark and they're super happy with it. And they're amazed at how much money they made. And me coming from where I come from in the print on demand world, having sold over 7 figures personally, that is not good. That's not good at all. And what I realized is on Etsy, Etsy sellers have a very small number system when it comes to success. I would say less than 2% of the shops make any substantial money per month. Like profit, I should say. 98% make very little. So I think Etsy is a place for, I'm going to call them small results. It's not a place you can make a full-time living anymore, which is fine. If that's not your goal, that's fine. But I think the where it originates with a lot of handmade sellers that think that making like, $50 in a weekend is a good weekend. And I'm not being snobby, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just saying that the Etsy seller mindset is tiny. So Etsy itself, now what does this have to do with emails? Well, probably the bulk of Etsy sellers won't care about the emails because they don't do any email marketing. So Etsy knows that. And Etsy is now shifting to where, let's do this, the shift that I'm seeing right now. Etsy is the shop. You are just a listing supplier for the shop. It's not your shop, it's their shop. Okay? They entice you with, you don't have to market or buy ads. It doesn't work well in today's climate. And this is coming from a very experienced seller where I'm looking at this and I'm seeing the results from being in the trenches and doing it myself, that it's just not there. It's not what it used to be. The trying to get people to open shops, their own shops, right? They call it their own shops. It's not your shop. Etsy owns it. And Etsy can suspend you, and Etsy can put you in a payment reserve, and Etsy can remove your ability to email your customers because they're not your customers. They're Etsy's customers, no matter what. So the solution from the shift is simple. Open your own shop store. Use WooCommerce, use Shopify, or whatever you want. Now, for me, I've done the Shopify route, and I don't mind it, but it's very expensive, like very expensive. When you add up the monthly fees and then all the apps and everything else, it's super expensive. It's easy to set up, and it's nice that they're hosting everything, but it's super duper expensive. So in 2024, what I'm doing is putting a focus over here on WooCommerce, where I can sell print-on-demand products, I can sell digital products, I can sell anything I want, but I don't have to wait for Etsy to send me traffic. Because honestly, Etsy doesn't have the traffic to send me because there's so many sellers now that have jumped on there, and a lot of them are fraudulent, that are just scamming customers on Etsy left, right, and center, that Etsy's battling with that daily. So I think the pandemic happened and Etsy really took off because everybody was at home with nothing else to do. And now the pandemic's over and people are like, okay, now Etsy has all of these sellers on there. They say they have like over 90 million buyers. I'm not sure if that's true or not. The moves that they're making right now with laying off people and now eliminating the ability to get the emails of buyers, of Etsy buyers, to your own list means that Etsy wants to be sending out those emails themselves because Etsy is shifting to it's Etsy, the shop, and you are just a listing supplier for the shop. Even though you have your own shops on there, if you ever go on the phone and look at a listing on your shop, try and get to your storefront from there. Like they bury it. Even on, I can show you here. Even here on desktop, if I go to a listing, and let's say it's, I don't know, let's say it's this listing. This is the Etsy shop, right? The overall art like Etsy shop, and look at they tuck that in right there in tiny print with a little tiny link. But everything else is all about Etsy. The whole page is the search, the home page. Down here, you get to photos from reviews, more from this shop. That's wonderful. But then you get you may also like. These are your competitors. And then browse collections. These are your competitors. And then explore related searches. These are your competitors. And then explore more. These are your competitors. And then even more to get you to go and shop around the Etsy shop. So I can see why Etsy does not want you to have their email address of anybody who buys your products, because Etsy doesn't care about you building your own shop. Etsy cares about them making money on every transaction. That's all they care about. So the shift is on, the shift is happening. It's not looking good, I'll be honest. It might come back, and I hope it does. And there are some shops that are successful. There's always exceptions to the rules. But as of right now, I think with this move, with Etsy just 2 hours ago sending out this email saying it's about shoppers' privacy on Etsy, it's not. It's about dollars for Etsy only. They do not want you having buyer email addresses, because then you could take that buyer list and you could go open a Shopify store or a WooCommerce store and you could do very well. Even with a list of 1,000 buyers in your niche, you could kick some serious butt. Did you know you could upload that email list into like Google or Facebook, and you could create a target audience of that where you could run ads to those people? Then you could create a lookalike audience to your buyers and run ads to them too. And Etsy is terrified of you doing that. They don't want you being able to contact the buyers because it takes money out of their pocket when you do. They don't want people leaving the platform. I've even run the giveaways on Etsy where I say, want a sample pack or something like that. Want 10 of these for free. Go here and enter your email. And I've been doing that for 6 months. And you know what? I haven't even crossed 100 leads yet to that free email. And you might say, well, like, what are you at? Like 95, 98? I'm at about 90. And that is pathetic over 6 months. So I'm not trying to be negative. I'm being realistic. This move is for nothing other than Etsy making shifts to do everything they can to try and recoup a lot of the revenue that they lost, because the only thing that matters to Etsy is keeping their stock price up for the shareholders. The sellers don't matter. As you know, if you've been treated poorly by them in the past, as an Etsy seller, I'm an Etsy seller right now, and I am not a happy camper at all. So I'm not going to sit there and wallow in self-pity and hum and haw. I'm going to make moves. And the first move I'm making is over to WooCommerce, where I am going to own my email list, and I am going to do whatever I want with it, because I'm tired of building their business for them. And let me know if you are too in the comments. And let me know what you think of this. We'll talk to you soon.